Hi, this is Yolanda Vanveen from vanveenbulbs.com, and in this segment we're going to talk about how to store iris bulbs. Now there's 1,500 different types of irises, so depending on the variety, it depends on how you store them. So let's go over it real quickly. So now there are irises that come as a bulb like the Dutch irises and the miniature irises, the reticulatas, many of the bulb varieties. Now you plant those about 3 inches deep in a sunny spot or part shade, and when you store these you want to make sure, just like garlic, that they stay on the dry side. So I like to put them right in a paper bag or in a bag with some dry soil or right in a container with soil. But the trick when storing these iris bulbs is just to check on them. If they're too dry, add some moist soil. If they're too wet, dry them out with some paper, put some newspaper around them. Now we've got Japanese irises or Siberian irises, all the rooty type irises. Now these guys like to be on the moist side, so they're kind of hard to store, I found, because you want to keep them, the roots, really wet, because if they get too dry you'll lose them. So just storing them in moist soil in plastic bags is an easy way. Just keep them right in bags or right in containers and keep them moist. Cut the greens when they look tacky, but make sure they don't get too dry. You can wrap them in wet newspaper, that's another good trick. But just keep checking on them. And remember that iris can handle minus 40 degrees, so you really don't need to store them if you have a place outside to plant them. Now bearded iris, the same thing. They don't want to be too wet or too dry when you store them, and we just keep them in these black crates so that they can air out. You can keep them in a paper box. You can put them right in soil and sawdust and wrap them in newspaper. And the trick is just keep checking on them. If they're too dry, add some moist soil. If they're too wet, get them out of there and put them in some newspaper, or just air them out a little bit more. You can turn around, and I just hose them down here and there in these crates themselves. I just take them outside a couple times over the winter and hose them down, kind of air them out, shake them up a little bit, make sure that they're always getting some air circulation. So make sure your irises are never sitting in one place for months and months. Try to air them out, mix them up a little bit. So storing bulbs or iris bulbs is just like storing any type of vegetable. As long as they've got some air and you check on them, make sure they're not too wet or too dry, you can store them very easily.